Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Normally, this would be my time for the Tracy show, but with no interview scheduled this week, I thought I'd change up just a little bit of what I'm going to do this evening. I'm going to say this. No, I'll say it after I get done with everything. First of all, I'm looking at my phone because I'm trying to bring up something. Um, and First of all, I'm going to get these bills paid. That's the first thing I'm going to do. Then we'll get to the show. Subscribe. I believe that's what I was looking for. So I'm trying to tell you all how many subscribers I actually have. And I didn't put this on my website. That's what I forgot to do. This show I should have put on my um, channel. But I have 143 subscribers. I'm getting so close to 150. Um, Please subscribe. Um, Subscribing is free, doesn't cost anything. Just follow that link, or if you see a little red button and you're watching this on YouTube, um, you could just hit the subscribe button. I don't know why I'm about advertising this. I haven't got any registrations, but next week is the virtual scavenger hunt. Um, that's going to be taking place next Saturday. It may not happen if no one registers, but everything I raise for that day will go to making some improvements I need to the channel, such as buying better lighting. As you can see, my lighting is terrible. Um, so go to that page and um, buy a ticket. I still plan on having a lot of fun, but if there's no one there, obviously I changed the date. So just go to that link. You can also support me at buymeacoffee.com/TRACYMedia LLC. Um, Support starts at $2. It goes all the way up to $35. Um, I'm going to be having some exclusive things that'll go on just that page in a couple weeks. So don't miss out on that. And you can also like us on Facebook. Um, you can just search Tracy Media, either our fan page or our regular page, and you can find us that way. So um, I'm going to first talk about why I decided to do this show. Because I'm kind of waiting for some others to get here. They may not come tonight, but that's okay if they don't. Um, there's a lot going on. Yesterday, there was a shooting in Maine that has left at least 15 people dead, more than 50 injured. Of course, there's the conflict in Israel/Gaza that's going on. And instead of me doing a video on those, and I will do videos on those coming up shortly. I just thought, at least for a sliver of time, at least for a little section of the day, we could just do something that would just not kind of take our minds off of it, because we should be very thoughtful of the people who have lost loved ones, um, and those type of things. But at least for a moment, kind of step back and just like put a smile on our face. There's nothing wrong with smiling, um, and having a laugh or two. And we'll get back to the serious things. I always do, but I just wanted to do something totally different. I mean, I've done silly topics before, but usually, rarely, mostly not on Thursdays, because I tend to keep this day of the week more serious. And like I said, I'll be doing a Saturday show, getting more into all of these complexities. But that's just what I've decided to do. I know some people may consider it to be poor taste, but again, we I just want, like I said, for a few moments, just not to forget, because we can't obviously forget, but to at least for a few hours, just kind of ease our minds a little bit. And And if we can do that, that will be great. So I think I'm going to talk about maybe 10 to 20 shows. I'm not 1,000% sure. I did not rank them. I just decided, you know what? I'm just going to name them. As you can see in the title, I'm visiting yet an old topic: the absolute worst television shows of all time. Grew up watching TV, still watch TV, unfortunately, even though there's crap shows on. And I want to start out with like I said, I'm waiting for some people to get in here before I start. I thought I had someone here, but they must have left. But um, I want to start off with all the reboots. And the reboots are kind of getting on my nerves. We had, let's see, the Murphy Brown reboot. And first of all, these shows, they were good when they came on. And then for some reason, like producers and writers, they can't come up with new things. And so I'm just kind of like getting all the reboots. Um, is that a laughing emoji? Oh yeah, that is. Um, all the reboots are terrible. There's the Night Court reboot that I don't think is on anymore. Now there's the Frasier one. The original Frasier was fine. Why do I need to watch this one? You know, I mean, just can we stop with the reboots? There was the Night Court reboot, the Murphy Brown reboot. Who else had a reboot? Um, what's that one show? With Helen Hunt and that one guy. Oh, oh my gosh, what's the name of that show? Mad About You. Why? Can we stop the reboots? Can we stop the reboots? They're terrible. None of them are good. They're not funny. And don't sit here and say, well, Bel Air. They took that show and went total, and I've never watched an episode of Bel Air because I can't. I'm just gonna stick to the original show and just watch the Fresh Prince of Bel Air and just be happy with it. That's what I'm gonna do. But at least they took a comedy and then they turned it into a drama. So they were trying to make it different. Some of these reboots, I'm like, how can you do? Like, why? I just all the reboots, just all the reboots, all of them, all of them, all of them are so terrible. Next show, Mork and Mindy. I can't stand this show. I don't like this show. It's not funny. It never was funny. It never will be funny. Mork and Mindy is a terrible show. I don't care that you say Robin Williams was on it. We know Robin Williams was on it. Rest in peace. But the show was terrible. The Baby in the Egg and John Withers. Oh, wait a minute. Who played the baby in the egg? I gotta find that out. I gotta find that out because I want to know who played the baby in the egg. Um, because the, the baby in the egg was just like so terrible. And I don't like who sat there and thought, you know what? Let's take this terrible show, have them get married, because that always drives the ratings up, right? Have them get married, then she gets pregnant. Of course, they still slept in separate rooms, I think, but somehow she gets pregnant. Okay, it could happen. Then she has to wait a minute. I gotta find this baby in the egg thing. Okay, baby in an egg, Mork and Mindy. Okay, here we go. At the beginning of the fourth season, Mork and Mindy got married. Again, okay. Jonathan Winters, one of Williams' idols, was brought in as their child Mirth. Because of the different Orcadian psychology, Mork laid an egg which grew and hatched into a much older. Who sat there and thought that was a good idea? Who said, okay, let's get them married? But instead of her getting pregnant, let's have him hatch an egg and then let the thing in the egg be Jonathan Winters, who I guess that Robin Williams admired. Okay, They couldn't have brought him on as a guest star. They had to have him more. Just a terrible show. Just a terrible show. Hello, Mac. How are you? Glad you're here. Put in the comments what you think is the worst show. So far, I'm on my first one. I did all the reboots, and I didn't want to go into each of them because they're all terrible. But now I'm into Mork and Mindy. Just like what the whole premise of the show was stupid. If you don't know, Mork and Mindy was a spinoff of Happy Days. Yes, Happy Days took place in the 50s, early 60s, but somehow Mork and Mindy took place in the 70s and present time. But it was a spinoff. I don't know why. I don't understand why people thought this show was funny. It's a terrible show. Mork and Mindy is a terrible show. It is terrible. It is awful. I don't understand it. Next show. Now, this one I get confused because I don't know which one is which, and I'll kind of explain what I mean. So, Sanford and Son. Now, Sanford and Son is not on this list. But Sanford and Son had 3 spinoffs. All 3 were terrible. Now remember Grady. Grady, yes, Mork and Mindy. It's on my list. I don't get it. It just was not a good show to me. Just could not stand it. So Sanford and Son had 3 spinoffs. All 3 were terrible. 2 of them I get confused. But the one I don't get confused is Grady. Now, Grady was Fred's friend. And what happened was they tried to do a spinoff. And the spinoff had Grady moving in with his daughter, son-in-law, and grandson. I think it lasted like maybe 2-3 episodes. It was terrible. It's so terrible it's hard to find a clip of it on YouTube. Like, nobody talks about it. The show got canceled real quick, and they brought Grady back to Sanford and Son. Terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. It wasn't funny. They didn't even have the 2 episodes or 3 episodes they filmed, we're like, well, where's Fred? Where's Lamont? Where's Esther? Like, everybody from the original show who we wanted to watch was, like, gone. Just not a good show. And the grandson, just point of trivia here, the grandson was played by the same actor who played Dwayne Wayne in What's Happening. So he was on that show as Grady's grandson. But try it. Go to YouTube and just put Grady in. It's hard to find a clip of that show. It was just awful. So the next 2 spinoffs from Sanford and Son, I completely get confused because one of them had Red Fox in it. And it was Red Fox, Esther, no Lamont, no Grady. I think Bubba was in like a couple episodes. And the fat white, the overweight, obese, Caucasian assistant, I think his name was Bubba. I'm not sure. And then the other Sanford and Son spinoff was with Sweet Daddy Williams, where Fred had, and that was not with Red Fox. There was no Lamont. Aunt Esther was in a couple episodes. Oh my gosh. I'm like, and he moved to like Arizona, Washington, or New Mexico because of his health. Why? Why couldn't you let it go? Just let the show go. I know Sanford and Son didn't get the finale that most people wanted, but did you really have to bring back the show like this? Really? 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 I mean, I like I said, if anybody can help me with the differences between the 2, like I said, one was with Sweet Daddy Williams, and he took over the business. And then the other one was with Fred. They got rid of Donna. He had a new girlfriend. And you knew it was bad because like Lamont wasn't there. And that was messy because that whole dynamic that whole um, chemistry that the father son, it was just like gone. But I can't remember. One of them was called Sanford, and then the other was called Sanford Arms, I think. But I can't remember. So if anybody knows which one of the Sanford and Son spinoffs had Fred moving to Arizona, New Mexico, or someplace else, put it in the comments because I can never remember which one is which. Because I'm like, okay, so Fred's gone. Is that Sanford Arms? Because remember, in Sanford and Son, the original show, Fred and Lamont started investing in real estate. They bought Julio's old house and they just rented out rooms. And that was called Sanford and Arms. So that may be the one with Sweet Daddy Williams. And I'm calling him Sweet Daddy Williams one because I forgot what his real name is. I literally forgot. I literally forgot what his real name was. So I'm just going to call him Sweet Daddy Williams. And I can't remember which ones they are. So if you have comments about what you think is the worst show of all time, or you're just like, you don't agree with anything I'm saying, put it in the comments because I love to get comments. And comments hits lets makes my algorithm better. So there was another show. I'm gonna move off of that one. This show, I don't know if you can call it a show if it only lasts one episode, because that's like a pilot, right? You can't really, like, if it just lasts one episode, I don't think that's a real show. I may do a separate countdown of shows that only lasted one episode. Well, when you say TV shows, so that's include reality show. No, reality TV shows do not count. I'm kind of scripted shows, like comedies, drama, science fiction, um, but no reality shows. We'd be here all night if we did that. Um, there was another show when I was like 8 or 9, and I'm gonna find this one. This one was with Melba Moore, or was it Gladys Knight? It was one of those two singers, the actor that played Urkel, and somebody else. And it was like, it was supposed to be like, no, because see, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this. Okay. I think it was Melba Moore's TV show. Melba. And how did Melba Moore get a TV show? Really? I mean, she's again, you cannot give singers, oh, okay. Melba Moore TV show. No, not the Melba Moore. I know this was her. It was her and Flip Davis, wasn't it? Flip. Oh, Flip Davis. Flip Wilson. Oh my goodness. What was the name of the show? Oh my gosh. Y'all know what? I can't find this show. But it was with oh my goodness, what's it? Yeah, I'm gonna look on this show. No, no, no. I know, or was it Gladys Knight? Okay, I know Flip Wilson was in it. I know Flip Wilson was in it. I know Flip Wilson was in it. Charlie and Company. I knew I was gonna think of it. I knew I was gonna think of it. I knew I was gonna think of it. So Charlie and Company, I'm gonna just read this description. I'm just gonna read this description. Because this show was bad. This show was terribly bad. Charlie and Company is a sitcom that aired from September the 18th, 1985. So I was what, 11? I said 8, 11 to May 1986. and it was Gladys Knight. Um, okay, so we got somebody here we're gonna block. Sorry, y'all. No, trying to block this and I don't know how to do it. Um, so the series starred Flip Wilson and Gladys Knight. I don't know why I thought Melba Moore. And it was like the Cosby Show, but unlike the Cosby Show that ran for 8 seasons, Charlie and Company only lasted one. And yep, Urkel was in it. Della Reese was in there. Um, Christoph St. John, who was on The Young and the Restless, um, was on there. Yes, Charlie and Company. Why did I think Melba Moore? Okay. I'm still trying to figure out how to block this person. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm still sitting here like trying not to. They done just. I don't know how to do this. Y'all keep seeing it because I don't know how to block it. Okay, so next show that I want to talk about. Oh, there were so many bad ones. Um, mm. Like I said, y'all gave me some ideas here so I can talk about. So I talk about Charlie and Company, Mork and Mindy. Um, I remember this one. Okay, so very few people remember this show, and I think I saw like one episode. And how this show lasted 5 episodes, I don't even know. So Mary Tyler Moore, after the Mary Tyler Moore show got canceled, decided to go into variety comedy, and it was her, David Letterman, and a couple of other people. Oh, this show was terrible. This show was terrible. I think it was called Just Mary. And they had like sketches, and it was supposed to be like Saturday Night Live, but not nearly as funny. I think that show lasted like maybe a couple episodes. I'm thinking like maybe 3 or 4 um episodes. And I forgot all about that show. But oh my gosh, there are so many bad shows, so many bad shows, so many bad shows. Um, cause I got a rant coming up against my like all time number one pick because I still can't understand it. So I'm about to move into the 80s because that's where most of my bad shows were. So Who's the Boss? Who's the Boss is not on the list. Who's the Boss is not on the list, but it had a spinoff. It was with Samantha went to like an all girls camp. Um, I always thought that the show could. I think you mean Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I think that's what you mean, man. You know, I didn't watch that show enough for me to say it was bad. Um, so I can't say because I mean I've heard of it. It's with Melissa Joan Hart and those other two women that played their aunts, and like the mother was gone or some for some reason, and the aunts had to raise her. Um, yeah, I don't have enough opinion of that show to say anything. And I'm looking at my phone because I remember the bad show, but I can't remember what the bad shows were called. So this one was a Who's the Boss spinoff, and I'm gonna tell you this. Okay, it was called Living Dolls. Oh boy! Now I'm just gonna read this mess. In the spinoff of Who's the Boss, Charlie Briscoe is a friend of Samantha Maselli's who needs a new home. Trish Carlin is a friend of Angela's who runs a New York talent agency. And then hilarity ensues. Um, is a spinoff. The Living Dolls is an American sitcom featured on the fall schedule of 1989 for ABC Network. It's a spinoff of Who's the Boss, and it featured characters included an episode of that show. The show was the acting debut. Listen, who was on this show? Holly Berry. Um, you for real? I think Holly Berry was on here. Well, they just said Holly Berry was on here. But who else? I think Fran Drescher was on this show. Um, Michael Lerman. Leah Remini. I'm just like, wait a minute. That Mrs. C from Happy Days was on there. Wow, this show was terrible. This was terrible. I mean, they don't even have anything. And listen, Charlie's Trish's. What the heck? What? Oh my gosh. Y'all got to read this mess. This don't make no sense. Living Dolls. Living Dolls, Holly Berry, Leah Remini, Michael Lerman. Oh yeah, this was meant to be. Sorry, I have a fire engine going across. Yeah, the majority of my shows are about to come in the 80s because this is when I remember when bad TV was bad TV. Um, I could include the new Munsters, but to be honest, it didn't last long enough for me to include it. I sort of want to include the Addams Family because I just did not find that show funny at all. It's not the worst television show. I just did not like it. I'm just like, okay, Cousin Ed's gonna come out of the box. Whoop dee 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 dee. Um, there was a show about a girl, and when she did this, she could freeze time. The theme song was, "What would you like to see on that star?" Something like that. Out of this world. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna just trust me. Burt Reynolds was also in there. Burt Reynolds was the father. He was an alien. And he would talk to his daughter Eve or Stevie or whatever her name was in this like little pyramid. Um, um, and every episode was the same thing. It was never them trying to stop people from finding out she was an alien because apparently she could just stop time and just like change things. And I never understood that because I'm like, okay, what's the point of this show? It just kept going on. It just kept going on. Just did not get it. Didn't get it at all. I thought the TV show called Dead Like Me. What? I have never heard of this show. You have to tell me the premise. You have to. There's no way that you could just let this one just fly by and me not know what it is. Just I have to know. I have to know what this show is. Um, do you mean Mandy Patinkin? Um, is that who you're talking about? Um, I think the new Quantum Leap is also stupid, but I talked about I said all the reboots are stupid, so I'm not going to go into why Quantum Leap, the new one, not the old one, is terrible. So I've got to Living Dolls, Out of This World, Oh, how did I forget this show? So there was a show on Mayberry RFD. I love the Andy Griffith show, the black and white episodes. I can't deal with the colors, the black and white episodes. But somehow giving vent for Mama's Family, his own show, just did not seem to work for me. It was about him and his kids, and I'm like, this show is horrible. And even appearances by Andy Griffith as it didn't help. I mean, the show was just so bad. Um, Here comes the other one that I think people are gonna just scream at me for not liking. Gomer's Pile. I can't stand that. I cannot. I cannot, cannot stand that show. It's so stupid. And not because of Jim Neighbors lifestyle. The show just wasn't funny. It was just, he's going to do something hilarious and then his sergeant's going to yell at him. Ha! Ugh. Stop with the sameness all the time. And speaking of people who start in bad spinoffs, the guy who was in Mayberry RFD, I said Vent for Mama's Family, was also in the spinoff of the Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch had a spinoff where Vent for Mama's Family adopted 3 children. One was black, one was white, one was Asian. And it was like all this hilarity lasted, I think, like 2 episodes. So yes, the Brady Bunch had a spinoff, E-I-E-I-O. Then there's, and most of these are spinoffs because again, the main show is good, but like every spinoff can't be the original Frasier, right? Like you're not gonna hit that type of lightning like that many times. Um, I would say you just, it's just not gonna happen. For every Frasier, there's a Mayberry RFD, there's a Gomer Pyle, there's a Living Dolls. It's like every show doesn't need a spinoff, Sanford Arms or Sanford. It just, you don't have to do it. You could just leave the show alone, walk away from it, and just be like, hey, now you catch lightning in a bottle like they did for Frasier, which I think is better than Cheers. Hey, um, that's you. The premise of Dead Like Me is that there's a team of Green River Angels that go around collecting the souls of people that are about to. Oh yeah, that sounds real stupid. that that does sound stupid. Who else was on that show? Um, you know what show I want to put it on the list. Again, I said the Addams Family, but I just didn't like it. I don't think it was like the worst show I've ever seen, but I'm just not a big Addams Family fan. Herman's Head was too different, and it's kind of hard to explain. Um, but yeah, back on my original point, you can't. It's hard for a sitcom or a drama to spin off a show and it be successful too. So here comes now the Ring of Happy Days spinoffs. I've already named one because I said Mork and Mindy is trash. I don't care what anybody says. That show is trash. It's trash. It's trash. But they also had another spinoff called Joni Loves Chachi. Why? Oh, why? Oh, why? Scott Baio, and the only role that we ever will know him for, played Chachi or Kachali or something like. He was the Fonz's cousin. And in Happy Days, he formed a band. And then Joni, all of a sudden, they figured out, oh, well, she has like her voice was not terrible. Rest in peace, Erin Moran. but her voice wasn't terrible. So they were like, I got it. They spent off, they created a show just for those two. Yeah, that show was awful. Joni Loves Chachi is one of the worst television shows I have ever seen. Nothing could save that show. They had Richie in there after he had left Happy Days. They had the Fonz in there. They probably brought in Laverne and Shirley, and nothing, I mean, no thing could save this show. It was terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Just and the theme song. Look at me. Oh my gosh. You know your show is gonna start off terrible when the theme song is terrible. Oh my gosh. Just go to YouTube, trust me, and just type in Joni Loves Chachi TV show. Because you can't find it. Like, nobody's ever going to put this on their TV schedule. Be like, yeah, what we going to do? We going to put this on our TV schedule. Another Happy Days spinoff. Well, there was Laverne and Shirley, but that was good. That's not on the list. There was Pulaski Beauties, but that wasn't really a spinoff of Happy Days. And Happy Days actually was a spinoff of Love and American Style. Just just throwing facts out here. What was that other show that Happy Days spun off? Joni Loves Chachi, Mork and Mindy. I guess it was just those three. Well, Laverne and Shirley was clearly the better of the three spinoffs. Because, like I said, Mork and Mindy, terrible. Never gonna convince me otherwise. Um, Joni Loves Chachi, terrible. But the song, look at me. See, oh my gosh. And they had Al, the owner of the restaurant that bought it from the real Al that moved back to Japan. He was married to Chachi's mother, so he was the step. Oh my gosh. Wow. Let me calm myself down and move on to our next piece of garbage. Um, this show, it lasted a few episodes and I never get the title right, but it was a spinoff of Married with Children. Um, and there were two spinoffs from Married with Children. There was the one that didn't last but 2 episodes. And then there was one that lasted like 6 episodes. And it was Al's friend and his son, played by Matt LeBlanc. They would always try to get, well, the father would try to get over on people, schemes, what have you. And again, Married with Children, which is not on this list, great show. It did not need a spinoff. It didn't need one. We didn't ask for one. We didn't know who these two characters were. And when you establish, I'll tell you what Frasier did right. When Frasier did a spinoff, Frasier was on Cheers long enough. Like he had built up some skin in the game. So he was there enough where people would care. These two people were in like maybe 2 or 3 episodes of Married with Children, and instead of building them up through the years and then giving them a spinoff, they just said, no, we're going to just give you a spin. And it didn't work. I think it lasted, like I said, maybe 6 episodes, top of the heap. That's what it was. Or was it called Putting on the Ritz? It was one or the other. One or the other. But just not a good show. Another non-good show. There are so many of them. V. When she ate that rat, let me tell you how ready I was to barf. That was it. I don't want to watch that show anymore. I didn't care to watch it anymore. I don't need to watch it anymore. No, I did not see a woman eating a rat and its little feet doing that. No, 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 no. If you never watched V, it was about these reptilian aliens that came to Earth and disguised themselves as humans. Then they would sleep with humans to have human have reptile. Oh boy! I mean, you when you when you think about V, it started off really good till she ate that rat, and then it's just like, you know what? I ain't gotta watch this no more. It just became literally one of the worst TV shows I've ever seen. Another bad show, because I'm looking at the time that I've spent on this topic, and I didn't think I would go this long. Next show, I I'm not gonna say Square Pegs. I refuse to put that show on this list because I love Square Pegs. Um, and I'm still trying to figure out how to delete this one comment, and I'm just not doing it. But yeah, Square Pegs is not going on the list at all. And I'm trying to think of the other show. I know there's a show. Right? It was. It was like, were they reptilians? Or like, what were they? Like, they came to Earth from what? Planet Reptile? Like, come on. Okay, so the next one is a cartoon. Heathcliff. This fake Garfield wanting to be thing was such a stupid show. I did not like it. I just thought, take this off. You're not funny. You're not smart. You're a fat cat. Just get off TV. Just had to put Heathcliff in there just to say it. Next one, Manimal. Manimal was a show that came on in the 80s, and it was a private detective who could turn into an animal. Basically any type of mammal, like an eagle, a lion, a jaguar, anything like that. That show lasted like 6 episodes. See, we get ready to fight. Battlestar Galactica was great. I don't know what you're talking about. It was a great show, great show, great show, except for that last season. Really liked it. Really liked Battlestar Galactica. I really liked Battlestar Galactica. Um, Again, I really like that show. I'm trying to think of the show where I don't know how I forgot about this show. What's happening now? Oh my gosh. What's happening now has got to be one of the worst comedies I have ever seen. So if you've never seen What's Happening, it was a show with three friends, Roger, Rerun, and Dwayne. Roger had a sister, Dee, who was troublesome. They hung out at the soda shop, which I think they called it Raj Place. And Shirley, the smart aleck waitress, was there, blah, blah, blah. Show was really good till the last season. But then they brought it back. And if you watch that show, now you can catch this crap on YouTube. Just type What's Happening Now, and you'll see a mustacheless Martin Lawrence um, on there. And the plots, it had Roger married. The mother had moved to Arizona, had sold him the house. Like, why would you want to live in that house? It was just like, okay, whatever, but just trust me. What's happening now was bad. Also, Leave It to Beaver, the new Leave It to Beaver, also bad. But I didn't watch that show enough to just put it on my worst, because some shows I was just like, I won't. It was hokey because it was clearly okay, it borrowed from Star Wars, but a rip off? Um, I know there's some shows I'm forgetting. I know there's some shows that I am literally forgetting. Um, I talked about why does my phone keep ringing? Um, oh boy, that show just literally went out of my mind. Oh, oh, I know what show I was gonna put on here. No, I wasn't. I wasn't gonna put the American Greatest Hero on here, even though it didn't last that long. I still love that show because of the theme song. One Day at a Time. Oh my gosh, I hate this show so much. First of all, when the theme song is better than the actual show, you thinking, oh, this is gonna be funny because the theme song was like always lit, right? You're like, okay, here's what I come going to be. What you gonna see? Okay, and then you think, oh, some theme song is good, so rest of the show got to get known. It was with Bonnie Franklin, Valerie Bertinelli, and oh, I want to say Mackenzie Phillips so bad, but that's not her name. I know it's not. And she was a single mother, and they lived, of course, in the worst city in the world for a television show, Indianapolis. Why? Why did this show have to take place in my hometown? They didn't do any type of research on this city because they had like highways going through the city. I'm like, that no, that's not Indianapolis. I think that's what made me mad about the show. That and the creepy maintenance man. I'm like, this isn't funny. Then she marries a guy with a son. They're all still living in that same little apartment building. The father dies. She raises the son plus her two daughters in the same apartment. And it's like they never moved out. Oh my gosh. Gosh, I cannot. I cannot. I cannot with One Day at a Time. I cannot. I cannot. I thought it was a show that was really good. It's titled Beekman's World. And I also liked the show WK. Never saw Beekman's World, refused to watch WKRP in Cincinnati. Just didn't get it. Just did not get it. I know people are like, you didn't watch the Thanksgiving episode? Hey, Parker, we're talking, this will be good for you. We're talking about the worst television shows of all time. So far, I've got a list going. Yes, I go live every Thursday, but most of the time I'm talking to politicians. I couldn't get a guest for this show, so I'll have one next week, but not for this particular show. Um, I I just couldn't with WKRP in Cincinnati. The theme song was good, but the rest of the show, um, what other show am I thinking of that I know was terrible? Um, thank you, thank you, thank you. This show, yes, Parker, it's off topic, and yes, I did see he resigned, and it's not the candidate getting out the race, so they'll find another one. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. There's some questions you have to ask about that show. So they live in this little small town, and every week it's like totally destroyed. What is this city's budget? I mean, they start off by like literally it's a ripoff of Voltron because five things had to come together to form this one big huge monster that literally destroys the town. Like, what are they doing? I mean, oh my gosh, thank you for naming the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you. So I got to get down to my because I got a party meeting today. Yay. Um, there's a couple other shows that I did not name. Um, Parker, we gonna fight. I love the Lawrence Welk show. Yes, I'm saying it out loud. I love the Lawrence Welk show. I love the bubbles. I love the hokey music. I love the black guy that tap dance. Loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. I will never will that show go in my worst show of all time. Never, Never, ever, never, 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 never. Knight Rider. Knight Rider will go into my countdown. That stupid Dukes of Hazzard ripoff. The car. The only thing that made that car special was it had a voice. Yes, Parker. My grandparents showed me that one time. No, Parker, it is not the worst show. It's a great show. And we need more shows like that now. Good wholesome shows with good messages. Good solid family messages. Yes, instead of all this crap that they got now. Um, but what show was I just talking about? Oh, Knight Rider. David Hasselhoff was in it. Let's just start out with that. David Hasselhoff was in it. No, that's not gonna work. The only thing, um, the only thing that made the car special was that it could talk. Michael couldn't do, and I think that, and the way the car said, Michael, oh, shut up. I could not stand Knight Rider. Couldn't stand it. The thing that was good about Lawrence was, well, there was the singing. I didn't watch the show, but I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. I refused to hate it. I would still watch it today. If the Lawrence Welk show was on, I'm on it. I'm on it. Next show I couldn't stand, Home Improvement. I don't know if it's Tim Allen that I don't like. The whole show was just stupid. I mean, everything from the Get Up Girl, um, with the gigantic bosom, just male overdriving, grunting, um, um, I could not with Home Improvement. No, the Lawrence Welk praise needs to stop. Don't make me. I'll go the whole show. It's almost time to end, but I'll go the whole show and talk about why I love that show. Just good, wholesome stuff. And yes, it had a 1950s message. Sure, it was some problems in the 50s, but there's problems in every decade. But the last show, I got to talk about this show because um, Marlon, remind me next time to go off on you. The Andy Griffith Show, the black and white episodes, that's some of the greatest television I've ever seen in my life. Every soap opera ever made, no, because Dallas was bomb. Guiding Light, fantastic. As World Turns, very good. And I know you're not putting the Dukes of Hazzard on here. Not the We're gonna minus the fake Bo and Luke. We not gonna talk about them. But the Dukes of Hazzard was my show when I was a child. Cause I couldn't decide who I liked better, Bo or Luke. I was like, well, who's the cutest? Who's the cutest? The Home Improvement Show was the bad show, but at least the mother was a good character. She was a feminist and she played the character good. I just couldn't watch it. It was just like him running all the time. Oh, Days of Our Lives is terrible. General Hospital, Days of Our Lives, and One Life to Live. Those are the three worst. But Dallas, As the World Turns, and Guiding Light, yes. Oh, and Dynasty was terrible also, but it was bad, but it can't go in this list because it's not the worst show of all time. But it was terrible. I'll tell you another show, and I've went off about this show, and Parker, you probably know it. Um, there was a show in the United Kingdom, England, UK, whatever they call themselves now. Someone somewhere decided that Adolf Hitler needed a comedy. I don't know who thought of this. I don't know when it was thought of. But Hell, Honey, I'm Home is probably the worst television show I have ever, ever seen. I don't know who sat here. If you look at the steps that it took to get that show to have 12 episodes, there was a whole season. They only showed one episode because fans were like, no, we're not going to do this. But they filmed 12. They only show one. And Google it. Promise me that y'all will Google. I think so, Parker. It was either UK, England, Britain. Like, I can never remember the name, but England was, that's the BBC. They produced the show. Somebody sat down, a scriptwriter said, you know what? I got an idea for a comedy. Let's put Hitler next door to Jewish people. That'll do it. That'll do it right there. And then they won't speak German. They'll just speak English with the English accent. Then he writes it, or she writes it. The BBC says, you know what? This is a good script. Why don't you hold an audition call? So the studio calls agencies and say, we're auditioning for these actors. Out of Hitler, whatchamacallit, Brom, his girlfriend, whatever her name was, and then the Jewish next door neighbors. So then the agents tell the actors, you know what? I got this role for you. I got this role for you. You're going to play Hitler. Nobody says this is a bad idea. Nope. They audition people. And then some actor is disappointed that they didn't get the role. And then they film an episode. No, they hire lighting, costuming, makeup. They have to have food. They have to have. Oh my gosh! Why? Why did somebody think this was a good idea? I mean, they literally went to the trouble saying, you know what? They casted actors. They had an audition. They hired costume people, lighting people, set designs. They had meetings. And nobody said, this is a terrible idea. Nobody. Nobody sat here and thought, you know what? This is a terrible idea. Marlon, I didn't want to talk about that because I'm going to do a separate one about shows that only lasted one episode. But I do remember watching that. I want everybody who's watching this to promise me that you will go to YouTube and type in Hell, Honey, I'm Home. HAIL, comma, HONEY, I, apostrophe, MHOME. I'm begging you. I'm begging you to do it, please. Y'all, that's worse than Sanford and Sanford Arms and Grady. Because I always forget that one. Because Grady was that was like 2 episodes. There were probably some people who tried to tell them, but they wouldn't listen. And for Parker, the whole idea is dumb. The Holocaust and what Hitler did to 6 million Jews was not funny. This isn't springtime for Hitler, like in the producers, where they made Hitler look so bad that the audience started laughing. They didn't watch the episode and just tell me if I'm wrong. I'm just like, they sat here and thought, yep, that's it right there. Comedy about Hitler and Ava Braun. And they live next door to Jews. What? Oh my gosh. That would be like now getting equivalent to, I don't know who it is that we're chasing now. But like somebody now, the equivalent of that, just like, yeah, let's make a comedy. What? They filmed 12 episodes, but they only showed one, thank goodness, and the BBC refuses to show the other 11. But I think they should release them because I want to know the first one, you'd be like, well, okay, this is bad. No, The BBC's got that thing under lock. Under lock. They are not letting that out. I don't know if somebody gets in there and gets, but oh gosh, oh my gosh, it's the worst show I have ever seen, ever, 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 ever. Guys, it is 8 o'clock. I did not think I was gonna go this long, so I want to remind everybody that's watching this, please buy a ticket to the scavenger hunt. I have 0 participants and I really need, look at this. I need some light so bad. This lighting is terrible. I need a second computer so I can start sharing videos. And I wish I could afford it. I wish I could afford it and didn't have to do this. But there's the link, but you can always go to TRACYMediaLLC.com to get a ticket. If I buys a ticket, I'll just move the date because I'm not going to stop doing this. I'm going to keep coming up with other things. Next week, let's see. Next week, I do have an interview scheduled. I believe, no, she's coming on the 9th. I believe Constance Every is coming up, but I do want to make 2 announcements. The presidential discussion will take place November the 7th. We'll have maybe 2 to 3 people on that show because a couple have dropped out of the race, but that's to be expected. Hey, I don't either. That's why I'm asking. So that'll be taking place. Yes, Parker, I do have 143. I'm 7 away from 150. I'm like slow. I'm like getting there. I'm like, okay, if I get to one, like I want to get to 300 before my birthday in January. That would be so good. So just share this video, like this video, comment on this video. If we don't have a guest scheduled next week, I will do shows that lasted just 1 episode. If we do have a guest next week, then it'll be a guest next week. This Saturday, I'm planning on probably not going live, but just shooting a video about the whole Israel-Gaza conflict and the shooting in Maine and those type of things. So it will get serious. But again, I wanted to do a show where I thought, at least for an hour, we can put smiles on our faces and then get back to the real world because it's hard out there. And I want to do my best to make it a little easier. And I know this show won't solve any of the world's problems. It's not meant to. But if we could do something, we should do it. But remember that you can always leave your questions in this video, even after it airs. I want to thank everybody. I didn't name all the shows because this would have been a 2-hour show. And like I said, I have a meeting at 8:30 that I have to go to. So I really appreciate everybody coming in. Have a great evening. I'll see you all Saturday, and I'll see you all next Thursday. Have a great evening.